Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me at Microsoft Ignite. I'm Roanne Sones, and I lead the Azure Edge and Platform team here at Microsoft. I'm a white woman with straight hair, wearing shoes with flowers on them, filming here at our Microsoft studio. I feel an immense responsibility to deliver solutions that will empower you and your organization to achieve more. It's why we've been working hard to meet you where you are, expanding Azure Hybrid and multi-cloud capabilities to help you innovate anywhere securely with Azure Arc. We are seeing great momentum with thousands of customers adopting our hybrid and multi-cloud solutions to meet their business needs. Today, we'll spotlight how these customers are using Azure Arc, experience the product with demos, and announce a number of new product capabilities. When I talk to technology leaders about their overall IT strategies for cloud adoption, I often hear different versions of the same concerns. First, they desire to take advantage of the rapid innovation in the cloud, but regulations and latency concerns prevent many of their workloads from migrating to the cloud. Second, they are all overwhelmed by the thousands of servers, applications, databases, powering their businesses that are sprawled across data centers, edge, and multi-cloud. Multiple teams are using different development tools, languages, and frameworks, as well as approaches like open source, Kubernetes, and DevOps. Collectively, it fractures their investments, keeping their people and processes siloed and really slowing their innovation. These are the challenges we're taking on to provide customers with the most comprehensive and consistent cloud platform wherever it's needed, so they can bring together their people, processes, and technology to achieve more. In Azure, we've put a premium on making it easy to operate and secure servers, applications, and databases with powerful management and security tools. We have built a flexible and open platform where you can use familiar tools like Visual Studio and GitHub when building the next generation of applications. We've also worked to simplify the complexity of IT tasks with a wide offering of application, data, AI, and ML services. With Azure Arc, we're creating a bridge between all those great innovations in Azure and your existing workloads and infrastructure, wherever they may be, across on-premises, multi-cloud, and edge. And we're doing it in a way where you can confidently invest in a single set of skills and processes that you can transfer wherever they're needed. Now, we're going to walk you through Arc investments with some great end-to-end demos. But before we do, let me highlight the breadth of edge innovation we are announcing today, starting with Azure Purview. Azure Purview solves multiple challenges every large organization faces, discovering enterprise data sources and bringing together siloed analytics to make it useful and secure for both businesses and technical users. Azure Purview is a data governance solution that helps you scan, classify, and govern data on SQL servers on-premises, at the edge, and across clouds. And it's now generally available. Speaking of running anywhere, I'm pleased to announce that Arc-enabled data services connected mode is generally available. Azure Arc-enabled data services makes it possible to run Azure SQL Managed Instance and PostgreSQL on any infrastructure. As an evergreen service, we're continuing to ship new features, just like we would in public cloud. You can now use the Azure Portal, Azure Resource Manager APIs, the Azure CLI, or ARM templates to create data resources, monitor them, secure them, patch them, and more. We're also announcing today that you can run machine learning inferencing anywhere with Azure Arc. When we started the public preview for Azure Arc-enabled ML, customers could train ML models with data stored or generated outside of Azure. Now with this update, you can start inferencing and scoring data with trained model without having to move the data anywhere, satisfying the regulatory and latency concerns that are so important to our customers. Cloud has changed developer and administrator expectations for how they request and get access to servers. That's why we are announcing the addition of self-service capabilities for end users to create, read, update, and delete VMs through Azure Arc and Azure Stack HCI and VMware vSphere, truly enabling IT administrators to have a consistent approach to lifecycle management across their workloads both inside and outside of Azure. Speaking of Azure Stack HCI, you are going to want to check out the latest Azure Stack HCI feature updates. Azure Stack HCI now provides support for GPUs for AI and ML workload acceleration at the edge. It also delivers Azure host innovation with features like kernel soft reboot, secured core server, and the new dynamic CPU compatibility. This makes it easier for you to live migrate VMs between different processors without sacrificing compatibility or performance. Now this is a big one. For the last 20 years, one of the most popular use cases for Windows Server is to deliver remote desktops. Remote desktops are critical in environments where IT needs to deliver an application or full desktop experience to any device. Many of you told us about your excitement to use Azure Virtual Desktop, but because you're in a regulated industry like healthcare or finance, you need it on premises. So I am thrilled to announce that we are bringing Azure Virtual Desktop to Azure Stack HCI. I am so energized to lead my team to solve your problems, to unlock more hybrid and multi-cloud value for you, helping you better secure and manage your digital estate and build cloud-native applications that are just made richer with Azure services at the edge. Let's look at this new work in action. Joining me today is Jason Hansen with the Azure Arc team, who will demo a couple of the new capabilities that I've just talked about. Jason, take it away.
Thanks, Roanne. In the last few years, nearly every organization has accelerated its adoption of virtual desktops to meet the needs of remote and hybrid workers. The ability to deploy and scale virtual desktops from the cloud has been a game changer, putting Azure Virtual Desktop at the forefront in this journey for many customers, from schools to manufacturing, retail stores to call centers. To get the best performance, customers choose the Azure regions closest to their users. And now, for customers who want even more control over performance, we are bringing Azure Virtual Desktop even closer to your location with Azure Stack HCI. Now, Azure Virtual Desktop on HCI provides the same AVD experience, whether your sessions are hosted on Azure or at your location using Azure Stack HCI. So let's take a look at how all of this comes together. Here in the portal, I have a 4-node Azure Stack HCI cluster deployed to my office and registered with Azure. I have also deployed a virtual machine, which will act as a session host. Now, support for multi-session Windows 10 or Windows 11 hosts is a great option to increase density and save money, an option only available through Azure Virtual Desktop. Now, after registering my on-premises session host with a token generated by Azure Virtual Desktop, I'm ready to go. Now, anyone who has experience in setting up an on-prem virtual desktop solution will agree that with AVD's management plane, setting up AVD on HCI is really rather simple. Now, after setup and registration, I can perform all application management and user assignments directly from Azure. This lets infrastructure operators manage their virtual desktops no matter where they are running, with a single console for host and session management. Now, client access to sessions couldn't be easier either. My users can use RDP through a web browser or an RDP client. And support for RDP short path means client traffic will take the fastest path to the session host. Now, even better, FSLogix backed user profiles means my user data remains on my file share. I even have the option to deploy the storage on the same Azure Stack HCI cluster for peak performance and data locality. Now, AVD on HCI brings virtual desktops close to my users, opening options for scenarios that need to talk to legacy or on-premises systems. Now, this is a great fit for data-sensitive scenarios like critical patient and medical records stored at a hospital. Now, patient data can remain on-premises with low latency access. For example, a nurse or doctor can access their AVD session and view patient X-ray images without leaving the hospital network. Now, Azure Virtual Desktop and Azure Stack HCI bring desktop sessions closer to my users with cloud-based management, all from Azure. The next big thing I'd like to show is self-service access to compute resources. Now, this is a key enabler for developer productivity. Now, if you're working with apps that need to run in your data center for compliance or performance reasons, you typically have to open a request ticket to start a virtual machine on-prem. Now, Azure Arc changes all that. And we are very excited to announce that Azure Arc can now create virtual machines on VMware vSphere and Azure Stack HCI right from the Azure portal. Now, this new VM Create experience is just like using Azure. Now, from the portal, I can use existing virtual machine templates that my administrator has configured. I can modify the size, storage, and networking settings. I can also use ARM templates to provision virtual machines and integrate with my CI/CD pipelines. And infrastructure operators can use Azure Role-Based Access Control to control what compute, networking, and storage resources I may request. Beyond provisioning, I can now stop, start, and resize virtual machines, all from Azure APIs. Even better, management capabilities like policy, security, defender, and update management are available when guest management is turned on. Azure and Azure Arc ensure that my virtual machines are governed and compliant from day one. Now back to you, Roanne.
Thanks, Jason. Azure Virtual Desktop is one of the fastest growing services in Azure, and we are really excited to help customers use it in even more ways. We'd love for you to try the new capabilities of AVD for Azure Stack HCI, and also try the new VM self-service integration with Azure Stack HCI and VMware vSphere. Give us feedback. Let us know what more we can do with these new offerings. Next, I want to dive deeper into 3 of the top scenarios we discuss with customers that take the innovation they've experienced in Azure and brings it to their hybrid and multi-cloud apps and infrastructure. First, IT pros want to use a single pane of glass and a consistent set of services to secure and govern all of the resources in their on-premises data centers, branch offices, edge locations, and in the cloud. Second, developers want to build cloud-native apps and deploy them everywhere. They want agility, repeatability, and efficiency with familiar developer tools to build, deploy, and maintain apps anywhere. And finally, businesses want to harness the data across their productivity estate, their data center estate, and their operations at the edge estate, and apply ML, AI, and data services to unlock new insights to stay ahead of the competition. Let's dig deeper into each of these 3 scenarios. Most organizations have central IT teams that are dealing with a proliferation of IT resources, tools, and processes across many different locations. Each location presents a different set of regulatory and compliance requirements, as well as different tooling and processes. They need to have a consistent way to deploy and manage their resources to reduce costs, and also to meet security and compliance requirements to reduce risk. With our comprehensive hybrid portfolio, IT admins and security professionals can use Azure Arc to connect a wide range of IT assets, like Windows and Linux servers, any Kubernetes cluster, and SQL servers, to provide visibility and organization through a single pane of glass from Azure. With all their infrastructure connected to Azure, they can now monitor everything from one place to ensure governance and compliance through continuous auditing with services like Azure Policy and Azure Monitor. And finally, they can streamline security by enabling Azure security services, such as Azure Defender and Azure Sentinel, to continually assess and help protect against evolving threats. Let's have Jason show us in more detail how this can be enabled through Azure.
Thanks, Roanne. Now let's join the central IT operations team for Tailwind Traders, a manufacturer with plants across the world, edge sites, and corporate offices. Now, for one of the divisions at Tailwind, Northwind Risk, IT sprawl isn't just overhead, it's a security challenge. Now, with Azure Arc-enabled infrastructure, the Risk division will be able to unify on-premises, hybrid, and multi-cloud infrastructure, bringing Azure security and compliance to their infrastructure at scale. Here, we already see a consolidated view of Tailwind Traders' entire digital estate, including Azure virtual machines, servers in AWS and on-premises, and Kubernetes clusters from GCP, all visible in Azure. Now, this is great for the Risk division. IT teams can see and manage all these resources in one place, the Azure portal. Now, consistency is key. Azure and Azure Arc provide the same roles, policy, grouping constructs, tags, and management services, which helps Tailwind stay on top of all of their assets. Now, all Tailwind's assets benefit from Microsoft's best-in-class security capabilities through Azure Security Center. Rapid assessment gives Tailwind a heads-up view of the state of security for all assets, producing a simple, secure score. Now the team has a lot of work cut out for them, but without Azure Security Center, the team would be flying in the dark. Now, Security Center is informed with knowledge from many security events and offers prioritized recommendations which highlight high-impact opportunities, letting the team focus and prioritize their efforts to maximize the impact of their work. Azure Security Center also offers a clear view of compliance against specific regulatory requirements, detailing failures by responsibility and resource type while making configuration recommendations. Furthermore, integration with Azure Defender can provide extended detection and response, while native integration with Azure Sentinel brings your security events and information into one interface. Azure Policy is also a powerful tool for Tailwind, enforcing organizational standards and surfacing compliance through centralized dashboards. Operators can drill down to individual policies and resources. For example, this policy ensures Kubernetes clusters have installed Azure Defender. Even better, when possible, the platform or cluster owners can fix configuration mistakes with the click of a button. And at this Ignite, Azure Guest Configuration now has expanded capabilities to not only audit, but also set OS-level configuration. So, the central IT team at Tailwind can reduce risks and costs by creating a central security and operations standard that they can use across the entire company. For everyone struggling with their own hybrid management needs, check out Azure Arc, Security Center, Defender, and Sentinel. Now back to you, Roanne.
As Jason illustrated, security and governance solutions are a great way to extend cloud technologies to existing applications and infrastructure. But we also know that many of you want to do this on the edge in a new way, with a posture and app pattern that is cloud first. With Azure Arc, developers can use familiar tools like GitHub and Visual Studio Code to build and deploy their applications to Kubernetes clusters anywhere. When you check in new features, Azure Arc enables GitOps so that updates and associated services are deployed to Kubernetes clusters anywhere by using policy as code. Azure Arc also helps you to centrally declare, deploy, and enforce a common set of configurations to Kubernetes clusters wherever they are. You then have the flexibility to use your choice of a CNCF conformant Kubernetes solution, like Red Hat and Rancher, to deploy your cloud-native applications anywhere. For new Kubernetes deployments, we have AKS on Azure Stack HCI, which provides a fully managed Kubernetes service, which is easy to deploy and automatically keeps itself up to date. So you can focus on apps and not Kubernetes lifecycle management. Jason, can you show us Azure Arc in action?
Tailwind Traders has multiple manufacturing sites that run a lot of applications. Recently, Tailwind has started to modernize their apps into containers and adopt DevOps practices and tools that help Tailwind deploy their apps. One of the first applications to modernize is a quality assurance tool that helps line workers submit QA results for parts as they move through production. Quality reports are stored locally for analysis and guaranteed latency, while summarized results are later sent to the cloud, where Tailwind business planners and data scientists in different offices can evaluate performance objectives across all their locations. Let's jump into the Azure portal and see how Tailwind teams manage their factory locations, from infrastructure teams to data admins and application developers. Here is a resource group that holds the infrastructure and apps for a site. Tailwind IT operators can see their clusters on Azure Stack HCI, which provide compute and database capacity. Permissions are governed by Azure role-based access control, so Tailwind teams see only the things they need to see. Database administrators can view and manage database instances, and developers can view and manage application instances too. Developers can use the same CI/CD pipelines to push to Azure, on-premises, or other cloud providers. And with familiar experiences for application configuration, updates, and runtime capabilities, Tailwind's using app services deployed to their factories site, providing a consistent experience and capabilities for their team. All Tailwind's teams can stay on the same page. And now, most applications need to store data, and managing data across a hybrid footprint can be challenging. Let's dig in a little deeper and see how Tailwind is managing their data footprint. Now, Tailwind is using Azure Data Services, which became GA earlier this year. The Data Services controller is deployed at the factory on a Kubernetes cluster. The controller is a local process that is responsible for the lifecycle of each of the SQL-managed instances. The controller creates, updates, scales, and monitors databases, staying in contact with Azure. Now, critically, application data remains at the site, and management operations can flow from data admins at another location. Now, Tailwind DBAs have never been happier. They are now able to meet their data sovereignty and data compliance restrictions, as well as meet tight performance SLAs for latency. Operationally, logs and metrics are all available in Azure and locally. DBAs can use the Azure portal or Azure CLI to create new databases too. Now, like Azure SQL, all upgrades are automated and in place, relieving the complex process of deploying patches and updates, and delivering the same promise of evergreen SQL that Tailwind enjoys in Azure. Cloud-based billing is available to view centrally across all the clouds and locations. Even better, Tailwind can use Azure Hybrid benefits to apply their existing enterprise licenses toward their preferred cloud billing model, pay-as-you-go, or 1- and 3-year reserved instances. Tailwind teams are excited to tackle the next application in their modernization journey. Now back to you, Roanne.
Thank you, Jason. GitHub, Azure Policy, Kubernetes, and Azure Services are a powerful combination for accelerating your app development without compromising stability or scalability. Let's dig into our third scenario, using first-party Azure services to build more intelligent applications at the edge. Many new apps are being built to take advantage of AI and ML innovations and data services in the cloud. This includes training and machine learning models and using inferencing to apply the trained models to make real-time decisions. But we know we can unlock way more value for customers when we run these intelligent applications locally on AI-accelerated hardware at the edge. With Azure Arc, you can use machine learning, model training, and inferencing in the cloud or at the edge, wherever your data lives. What's more, you can do so using familiar open source frameworks for machine learning, such as MLflow, Kubeflow, PyTorch, Python, and more. We're also heavily investing in ML and AI solutions for the edge with Azure Percept and our hardware ecosystem. Check out the on-demand session, Automate Your Operations with Edge AI, to see the latest and greatest coming from the team. Jason, let's check out your last demo on how Azure Arc and Azure Machine Learning improve business operations at the edge.
Thanks, Roanne. And finally, Tailwind's workers on the manufacturing floor need an easy way to control the machinery without needing to walk to a workstation. Now, the team has built an AI and computer vision solution based on hand gesture recognition. Workers can easily stop the line with simple hand gestures. Now, for compliance reasons, Tailwind needs the machine learning models to run on premises, so personal data and images of workers do not leave the facility. Fortunately, with Azure Machine Learning's integration with Azure Arc, it is now possible to not only build and train, but also deploy and host machine learning models on any Azure Arc-enabled Kubernetes cluster, be it on premises, on another cloud, or at the edge. Now let's see how this fits together. Here, we are in the Azure portal. I can see compute clusters at Tailwind's facility connected through Azure Arc. Tailwind has deployed the Azure ML extension to this cluster, making it a target for machine learning workloads. Azure and Azure Arc make it possible to see, inventory, and control access to all my compute. Now let's switch hats and look at the Azure ML Studio. Here, I am one of Tailwind's data scientists working in Azure ML. In the Studio interface, I can see the compute, models, and inferencing endpoints all managed by Azure ML. Now, Tailwind data scientists have already built a model that works pretty well, but the team is interested in running an experiment with an updated model. Now, all the data scientist needs to do is pull up their code in VS Code, make a few changes, and seamlessly commit those changes to source control and push. Now, Azure ML takes care of the rest. Building, training, testing, monitoring, and deploying the model is handled by Azure ML, a full MLOps solution. Now here, we can monitor progress through a GitHub action. And remember, the model training is happening on compute running in Tailwind facilities. Training data never leaves the building, not only giving the team control over their data, but it also unlocks several potential scenarios that weren't available before. Azure ML Studio helps data scientists and ML engineers stay on the same page. Now, model performance, metrics, and history are all brought into one place and stored on Azure. Now, once the updated model is registered, Azure ML also manages safe deployment of those changes to our inferencing endpoint running at Tailwind locations. The team can slowly shift traffic to the new model, ensuring a clean rollout with full visibility. Training and inferencing running at all of Tailwind's sites with a consistent MLOps pipeline enabled by Azure ML and Azure Arc. Now, for edge deployments, networking has never been more important. And to enable these AI ML scenarios, Tailwind will need a fast, reliable, secure connection between the IP cameras at their plant and their ML models. With Azure Private Mech, this is now possible, and let's see it in action. Azure Private Mech makes it possible to deploy and manage on-premises 5G networks as a service at 1, 10, or hundreds of locations, providing a fast, secure local network with cloud-based management. Now, Tailwind has created a virtual representation of their mobile network, added their sites, and registered their devices, all from Azure. The devices securely connect to the local infrastructure, and Tailwind can manage their data networks and traffic routing, all from Azure. Now, this service is in private preview, and we have customers using it today. Now, we are thrilled to see Azure, Azure Arc, 5G, and AI ML services coming together at the edge, and we can't wait to see what you build. Now, back to you, Roanne.
Thanks, Jason. I want to emphasize everything Jason has shown are things that you, your data scientists, and your organization can get started with today. While Azure Arc works with any infrastructure like VMware, GCP, or AWS, I do hear from customers they want a vertically integrated solution across all layers: infrastructure, the control plane, and the services. This is where Azure Stack HCI comes in. It resonates with those of you who are looking for simplicity in who you work with, seamless Arc integration, and a rich portfolio of infrastructure options from our OEM ecosystem. Azure Stack HCI is a solution for both traditional VM workloads, and it also includes a first-party Kubernetes platform to run Arc-enabled services and modern container-based applications. So developers get the flexibility to develop applications on AKS and deploy them unchanged on premises, and IT admins get the luxury of infrastructure that includes all the necessary components to securely deploy Kubernetes clusters. It's a win-win for everyone. Our ambition to help you digitally transform your business with the cloud and edge is boundaryless. We know we can't do it alone. No single cloud provider is going to deliver all the infrastructure and as-a-service solutions you're going to need at the edge. That's why we're building an ecosystem of partners across hardware, platform, and solution providers who can help you envision, plan, and deploy these hybrid solutions. Our history in both productivity and the data center is unique among any cloud provider. Microsoft is our best when we are building platforms to fuel the growth of others. And I'm thrilled to see how energized the ecosystem is to evolve with us. We believe we have the most open ecosystem approach of any cloud provider. Azure Stack HCI has over 30 hardware partners with 350 plus solutions available in the catalog for you today. With support of any CNCF compliant Kubernetes service, you have your choice of the top Kubernetes distributions for validated solutions and are not locked in to just one option. And with our partnerships with Red Hat, SUSE, Canonical, to name just a few, we offer the best of Linux and Windows Server better together to make sure all of your servers can be optimized through Azure Arc. We'll continue to invest in our partners to make sure that our customers can use the tools they want from the partner of their choice, all while gaining the massive innovations that public cloud provides. The rubber hits the road when you see our customers in action with our hybrid and multi-cloud solutions. With thousands of customers across many different industries, we are seeing their business transformation firsthand. Mavre, a global insurance company, chose Azure Arc to extend security and management services to over 12,000 Windows and Linux servers across their various locations. Siemens Healthineers are using Azure Arc to deploy and maintain apps across tens of thousands of edge locations that include clinics and diagnostics equipment. SKF deployed our end-to-end hybrid solution in their 91 manufacturing plants globally to connect, process, and analyze data to make real-time decisions. They are seeing 40% savings on hardware costs and an estimated 30% reduction of OT-related downtime of the machinery. Hearing it straight from our customers is always best, so let's check out directly what our customers are saying.
Azure Cloud is an IT management service provider. We work with a variety of different industries, including government. We provide real-time insights in their security configurations, where monitoring, auditing, and enforcing security standards will be applied to maintain compliance. We use Azure Arc as a key fundamental building block within our solution.
Before working with Azure Cloud, we had 25% compliancy. Now at this moment in time, we're almost 90% compliant.
Prosegur has presence in 5 big data centers in Argentina, Brazil, United States, Spain, Australia, and at the same time in Google Cloud and AWS. And of course, we have also infrastructure in Azure. Nowadays, we have already deployed Azure Arc in around 700 servers, but we plan before the end of year to reach basically 95% of our infrastructure, and we are talking about 5,000 servers. Azure Arc is helping Prosegur in order to secure much better our services and avoid any security problem that we can face in the future. This is why we think that Azure Arc is one of the best tools and why we have selected.
The Royal Bank of Canada is the largest bank here in Canada. We've been around for over 150 years. We've made tremendous investments in infrastructure and technology, specifically infrastructure with the public cloud. We were introduced to Azure Arc at a previous Ignite event. It really piqued our interest in its ability to automate deployments and manage our on-prem database, just as Azure does for our public cloud databases. Azure Arc-enabled data services has really allowed us to accelerate our time to market and development of our products. It's also allowed us to focus more on the integration of these products and capabilities into our systems than building and securing and managing them ourselves.
It's amazing what so many of you can do with our hybrid solutions. We are humbled by your response and use your feedback to develop our new solutions. We had a big announcement last month. Windows Server 2022 is generally available, and it was driven by your requirements. You want advanced multi-layer security? We are introducing Secured Core Server, which protects with a hardware root of trust, defends against firmware-level attacks, and prevents access to unverified code. You want a flexible application platform. We are adding 5-year container lifecycle support and GPU support for Windows ML via DirectX. You want more hybrid capabilities. We improved our Windows Admin Center tooling to migrate to Azure or to connect to Azure through Azure Arc. You want more flexible business models. We are expanding free extended security updates to include Windows Server and SQL Server 2012 when these products reach end of support. And finally, you want more flexibility to support your journey to the cloud. And now we provide 1 additional year of extended security updates when you run your Windows Server and SQL Server 2008 and R2 workloads on Azure. Make no mistake, no one can run your Windows Server workloads in the cloud or on the edge better than Microsoft. Over the last 24 plus months, the Azure Migration and Modernization Program, or AMP for short, has helped thousands of customers successfully move their apps, data, and infrastructure to Azure by providing the right mix of expert help and resources at each step. Today, I am happy to share that Hybrid with Azure Arc will be a supported scenario in AMP. So AMP will now help you with deploying Azure Arc as part of your migration journey, so you can manage across cloud and on-premises environments. We know that for the last 20 years, many of you have made your career on being successful with Microsoft technologies. It's why we're excited to bring you the latest set of skills, certifications, and training so you can continue your career with us. We want to give you the resources to invest in yourself and your organization so you can learn the latest innovation from Azure. I know it is a lot of content here, so the easiest way for you to access everything is to go to aka.ms/arcskilling, where you will find all of the resources in one place. We hope you are as excited as we are by the amazing possibilities of building solutions when you bring together the best of the cloud and the edge. There are so many ways to get started, so I'll highlight 3 things for you to do today. First, start onboarding your Windows, Linux, and SQL servers, as well as Kate's clusters to Azure Arc. Start taking advantage of all the great operations and security capabilities Azure has to offer. Remember, you don't have to rip and replace anything. Azure Arc is built to snap right in and work with your existing tools. Second, for those of you looking to build and deploy new cloud-native apps on next-gen hybrid infrastructure or clouds, continue to use familiar tools like GitHub and start using Azure Arc, Azure Policy, and GitOps so you can go fast safely. And finally, start infusing AI and ML into your applications at the edge for real-time analysis and decisions with Arc-enabled data and ML services. These steps and more are covered at aka.ms/Azure Arc Jumpstart to help you get working with Azure Arc right away. Jumpstart provides step-by-step guides, as much automation as possible, detailed screenshots, and code samples for a variety of scenarios like the ones we've walked through today. I want to truly thank you, our customers and partners, for taking the time to join me today, to hear our latest news and see our Azure Arc capabilities in action. I hope you have a wonderful Ignite.